It's Podular. Thank you for joining us, everybody, for the year one finale of the podcast. It is Saturday, it is Saturday, October 25th. This is episode 52. Give you a little bit of a rundown what we got planned here to finish off the final year. Got some announcements to discuss around the band's recently released single and some announcements around the upcoming Human Dream Tour that's going to kick off here at the end of 2025. But after that, we've got the 13th installment of the Artist Spotlight series with a very, very special guest that we'll be excited to introduce to you. Before we get to that, let me introduce my co-host, Mr. Scotty Fuller. How you doing today?
Doing great, buddy. I just popped open a fresh merch pack from our guest a few weeks ago, Alex. Shout out to him. Man, if you haven't bought one of these Unquestionable shirts, these things are nice and beefy. I put mine on immediately, and pumped to do the kind of finale of season one, if you will, in this episode. Man, what a run, partner. Look at us. We said we were
52
going to do it,
weeks,
and we fucking
52
did it.
episodes. Yep.
Yes,
And we're going to keep
sir.
doing it.
We're not
Yep.
stopping, but we did it. That was one of the things we wrote down, and here we are.
Well, first order of business here, Scott. We've got ourselves a
Yep.
new single off what will be the final round of studio recordings released with the full Human Dream album that's going to be coming up about a month from now in LA at the Bellwether. We're starting things out with a proper Armani Rain feature in Balancing. So your
Yeah.
thoughts on here, Scotty?
Nice to see him finally getting official credit with the band, man. I mean, this
Mhm.
song's been around forever. A nice, a nice pattern. I think some people don't like it, but I like it. Let's get some of these songs out into the wild on Spotify and on streaming platforms, and make them officially into the catalog. I think it's cool. Would I be lying if I said I hope everything else that we hear is new stuff? I do want to hear some new stuff. I think they've got plenty of time to put anything else out that they have, that they're planning on recording after this. But, hoping for some more new stuff moving forward. But good to see Armani finally get that feature properly.
Yeah, and there's a cool arc to this track, right? It starts off as being premiered as the Greenlight remix from Lord, right? The band was at the time under the same management as the team under Lord, which is a huge pop artist.
Sure.
Sister actually she's obsessed with her. She got a chance to
Very
see her a few
talented.
weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, she said her live show was fantastic. But it starts off with that Greenlight remix, and then it kind of morphs into its own thing, right? And some stuff behind the Greenlight remix too. The band was given the stems of Greenlight and asked to officially remix that track, which that is really cool. And that kind of morphs into its own thing where they bring in Armani Rain, where we've seen Armani Rain on a lot of their drum and bass work, but
Yep.
kind of getting more into more of a hip hop influenced track like this is really cool. And what I'll say about the studio recording, I mean, those hip hop drums are dialed in. That sounds really, really cool. So excited to see where they take this track. Some of the times that they've jammed it out or segued it into other songs. I mean, we've featured it 2 or 3 times already in the first year of this podcast because they've been doing some really fun things with it in the live setting. So I'm excited to see the extended journey of this track and to see it put it on wax. And I think that it would pair pretty nicely with this last group of songs with the G-Funk, Scotty. So we'll see.
Yeah, I'd be cool if that was in there.
Then before we introduce our guest, last thing we'll get to, man, we got some pretty cool support getting announced for the upcoming shows here. So in LA at the Bellwether, that looks like it's going to be Thought Process on the first night and then Random Rab on the second night. That is a great 1-2 punch of artists. For the Chicago New Year's run, we've got Park Breezy on the 29th, Thought Process on the 30th, and then an evening with STS9, 3 sets I was hoping we'd get that again on New Year's Eve. Get Scotty. My blood is boiling already for that round. I cannot wait. And then getting into the little run of shows we're looking at in February here. Boston, Massachusetts, also an evening with STS9. Then Le Special at the Cap. I
Sick.
love Le Special personally.
Hmm.
And then we got Thought Process in New York and Philly. And then for the Charleston runs, we got a little to be announced with the support there. So excited to see
Sick.
where that comes to be. And then, yeah, I'm pretty sure me and Scotty in the next couple of weeks we'll have some really exciting announcements about
Yeah,
more tour dates
yeah,
coming
but
up.
we're
And
gonna leave it there. But there's gonna be some more to talk about coming up. That's all we'll say about that. But if you're a fan of live STS9, strap in because they're coming.
gonna be a big year for sure.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
Scotty, why don't you
Yes,
introduce our
sir.
guest?
I'm going to be honest with you guys. I was pretty sure before 3 weeks ago that this man wasn't even 100% human being. If you're a fan of his music or you follow him on Instagram, I'm sure you can relate to that. After listening to hours and hours of interviews in preparation for that, here to break some news for you guys. Richard Devine is, in fact, 100% a human being. He's a dad, in fact. Not only is he that, but he's a prolific human being. You'd be hard pressed to find a producer or a sound designer that wasn't extremely familiar with his work. Synthesizer companies regularly send him their products to make sure that they're on the right track. Whether it's creating sounds in video games like Cyberpunk, the full spectrum of noises within Jaguar's electronic car fleet, or dialing in the way that your spatial audio works on your AirPods rather, Richard Devine is one of the most sought after ears in the world. It is for all those reasons and more that our band, Sound Tribe, would naturally cross paths at some point. And today he's here to talk about some of those moments as well as some of his own music with us. So welcome to the show, Richard Devine. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Of course.
We are honored, and thank you for joining us. And this is a great way to cap off the first year of the program here. But let's start with you, man. Scotty talked about it. You are human after all, right? So we know you live in Atlanta right now, but is that where you grew up? And is that kind of where you planted your roots?
Pretty much, yeah, I would say. I moved down here from St. Louis when I was 8 years old, so I've been living here ever since. So yeah, pretty much me and my brother's whole lives. We grew up here in Georgia, which is actually a pretty pleasant place to live. Pretty nice down here. Weather's really nice generally. Yeah, and it's good music scenes, multiple types of music scenes, whether you're into hip hop, trap, or R&B or the Athens indie rock scene. There's all kinds of it's just a really diverse city when it comes to music. And even now there's like a little electronic, there's like a jungle scene popping up now that's reemerging. That a friend of mine's throwing parties now and bringing back drum and bass and stuff like that. So a lot of like older kind of like 90s rave culture stuff is starting to reemerge with the younger generations.
Cool.
It's kind of like the stuff that I was growing up listening to. Is now starting to, become more mainstream, and bigger artists are starting to incorporate those kind of elements from that era. Good examples of that is like my friend Ed and Ua from Glitch Mob, and
Yeah.
EPROM, my friend Sanders and Alex Perez, their project together. They're and G Jones, Greg, like all those guys, like those guys I think are really embracing that kind of like taking bass music but putting a twist on it and adding in like influences from like UK like 90s garage to like old school jungle breaks from that era, and kind of like twisting it into this new thing, and kind of introducing like old school elements to like the crowds and festivals that they're playing at, which I think is a pretty cool thing. Because I was like, there's a lot of music that I grew up listening to, and I find it so cool that, these guys that are like 20 years younger than me that are like just discovering a lot of that music and kind of like saying like, hey man, this is really cool stuff it was cool 20 years ago. It's still cool today. Why don't we incorporate some of these new elements into what we're doing? And I think that's really cool that they're, making something new and trying to kind of push the boundaries of what can be done when you're kind of like cross genre mixing, electronic styles like that. You can come up with some really cool things. And I'm even in that space too right now. I'm in kind of all, I don't even know what even to call what I do. I think the number one
We're
question
not
that gets
sure either.
asked,
Yeah.
I was about to say
yeah,
it's kind of nice that you sit in the same camp as so many of us in that regard.
yeah. I guess the number one question I get asked is like, what genre is it's like, what would you even call this music that you make? And I'm like, I don't know. It's just what I make. I have no clue. It's a tough question to answer sometimes because it's can be so abstracted and I can get into some pretty strange territory, which a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their head around sometimes. But I played a lot of outdoor festivals where the people really do get it when they're in the right headspace. Like I just played Infrasound like last month, and I closed out Saturday night, and it was just, yeah, it was just like, you know what, everybody's here, and they're all in the right
That's a good crowd for
headspace.
you. Yeah, for sure.
It's a good
Yeah.
crowd. I could
Yeah.
smell the DMT smoke. Like I could see it all hovering above the crowd. And I was just like, oh, you know what? In this last 20 minutes, I'm gonna drop some unreleased drum and bass track, abstract drum and bass tracks I've never played out before.
Yeah.
And
That's a good sound system for your music that they've got at that
oh yeah,
festival too.
that void system they had was so good, man. The subs
Mhm.
they had set up at the treehouse stage was just amazing. And it was like it was perfect. It was like the timing was perfect, the mood, just everything was just right. I was just like, you know what? No one's ever heard these, and what better time than to drop them right now? And I got so many messages from people. It was like, what were those drum? What was that weird abstract like halftime drum and bass stuff you played it towards the end of your set? Like we've never heard you do that before. That was like really intriguing. And I was like, oh, that's just some new stuff I'm experimenting with and I'm trying out. And they're all like, man, you got to put that out, man. That was like the craziest stuff we heard all night. And even
Yeah,
Gaslight
I
Killer came,
agree. I
which
want to hear it.
totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. I love going out and playing. Usually when I do shows, I don't really play stuff that people heard. I always play new stuff. I always play unreleased music, so it's pretty much a full hour and 30 minutes of all new unreleased material every time. And it's a lot of like improving and stuff because um I just like going and going into a situation when you don't have any expectations. You don't know what's going to happen. What
Mhm.
kind of journey is he going to take us on tonight? Um, I kind of like that. And so I've been doing that for God the good past. I want to say 12, 13 years. Doing modular sets and stuff like that using the Eurorack system as my primary instrument for playing live. And then over time, I've really kind of honed in on how to be very expressive and design. I've designed my system from the ground up to work in a specific way to where I could literally change the direction at any second to change tempos, like the timbres of the track, the composition of the track, the feel of everything immediately, like whatever I want. It took a long time to get it to that point to build a system to be able to do that, but it's finally there. And I've really now I'm just like fine tuning it. I'm replacing it with like better modules that can do more sophisticated things, where that module can take the place of like 5 modules that I used to have to use before. So I'm constantly refining the system and making it better, improving it, which helps improve the performances and make the flow of the tracks better and transitions better. That's really difficult to do with a modular system because you've got patch cables, and it's not like you're running an Ableton set where you're in like session view. You can just click the next row of like tracks and stuff, and everything's already set to go. There's a lot of pre-planning that's involved. There's a lot of like thinking about how you're going to lead the crowd and like what BPM, like who's playing before you. I usually walk out, and listen to the artist that's playing before me to see where they're
Nice.
at, what BPM they end at, what's the mood like. That kind of sets the stage of like how I'll begin my transition from when they end. So it's not an abrupt changed into like Alien versus Predator world, um, which a lot of people have referred my music to as being that. So I try to I try to adapt and try to make it a smooth make the program run pretty smooth and transition pretty smoothly, because I do play a lot of festivals and stuff, and it's just fun to kind of do these things. And I still can't believe I'm just still here all these years, still going at it. I don't know how I'm still here and still relevant when I'm playing with these people that are like 20, 30 years younger than me. I'm like, wow, I just it's very humbling, to be honest with you, to be in that position, where most of your peers that have made music in the era that I was making music, most of them stopped, or they're passed away, or they're moved on to other things. The music industry's changed a lot. It's harder to make music now. Most of my artist friends think their main uh, revenue stream is playing shows.
Yeah.
It's not streaming. It's not selling records. It's not selling CDs or cassettes, or you know you're basically giving away music these days.
Right.
Bandcamp, I think Bandcamp has probably one of the best models, I think. I love that they support the artists when they did the Bandcamp Fridays during the pandemic, where 100% of the sales would go to the artists and stuff like that. I think they're one of the better companies that really, really give the artists full control over how they want to release and present themselves. And like they have a lot of really great ways of, if you want to record your shows and sell your live shows there, you can sell your live shows there. You can sell merch there. I have a merch store too. And so I had so many fans complaining about how I was like, "How come you don't have any shirts and hoodies or anything?" And I get asked it all the time. And I was like, all right, we're gonna make some designs. We're gonna get this taken care of. So it's a good opportunity to do that, but do it on your own terms. I liked it that, you can do it whenever you want. You can make announcements when you want. And now with social media, it's great because, I'm like, I can just make an announcement to, like 150,000 people or 200,000 people and say, hey, something's coming out in 2 weeks, get ready, or, we got a new record coming, or, I've got some new shows that are coming up or whatever. It's just a great way because you're directly connected with the crowd who's following you. And I've got some crazy people that are following me, but I'm just like, wow.
Yeah,
um
171,000 to be exact on Instagram. I mean, it's quite a
that's just on
platform.
Instagram, yeah. On
Yeah.
I think on my Facebook fan page, it's like 142. On my personal page, it's like 30,000. Twitter's 40 something thousand.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, it's like almost 40,000. I don't even know why people want to follow me on LinkedIn, but
Who knows
okay.
when they'll need a
Yeah,
sound designer? Yeah.
yeah, well, that's true. Yeah. I mean, I did do, like I said, I did about, as you guys mentioned earlier on the show, I've worked with, I probably spent about 14 years working in sound design, for multiple companies. You guys briefly mentioned a couple of them, a lot of major companies. I worked with a lot of big advertising agency houses for, yeah, there was a good 13, 14-year stunt there where I was making really, really good money with these agencies, doing some pretty high level projects, working with some pretty high level clients like Nike, Sony, AT&T, Verizon, all the tech companies, BMW, Audi, yeah, you name it. Anything that was like more on the tech side, they would always give me the call. I was always one that would call and be like, we need somebody to make these sounds for this, for this app we're working on, or for this, but it needs to be high tech, it needs to be sophisticated, it needs to be classy, but it also needs to be able to tell the user what state the device is in, or what state the app is in, or whatever project I was working on, whether it was a video game or whatever it was. It was always something different. That's what I loved about working freelance. I worked freelance for nearly 30 years. Got to work with so many great people, meet so many amazing people that worked in so many different technologies, everything from like virtual reality to designing sounds to an electric car to, doing sounds for the Barnes and Noble Nook tablets, to, you name it. It was all over the place. And that's what I loved about it. It was like every day was like a new adventure, new group of people, new teams. Um, and new challenges too, working with new technologies I've never worked with before. and figuring out how to integrate sound into these very complex environments that would have to work, that people would have to live with every day. These sounds would have to interact with them every day, and they would have to speak to them. It was like you were designing a sort of auditory language that they had to sort of understand. But
So
you
I'm
couldn't say
glad
it.
I'm
Mhm,
glad you brought that up. I have
mhm,
this question for way later, but you
mhm.
took us there, so fuck it, let's hang out. In preparing for this interview, it occurred to me that every iconic sound that comes from our computers or our phones was created by someone like you. So I
Mhm.
guess what I'm asking is like whether it's noise from like your Windows computer booting up or the sound your headphones make when they connect to your phone. As a sound designer, do you strive to have one of those iconic sounds and do you already have any that maybe we don't know are designed by you?
I can't because of my work with Apple. I'm not allowed to say what I've done or I haven't done, but I'll
Okay.
just say I've
Okay.
done a lot. I'll just say I've done a lot. Um, and I was working for Google before that, so I was their interactive sound designer for 4 years, working on multiple crazy projects for virtual reality, for Daydream. I worked on Stadia, their gaming streaming platform, to all kinds of crazy stuff. It was pretty wild working for them as a company as well, because they work completely differently. And I met a lot of great people over there. Met Doug Eck, who was working on Magenta, and they're working with like machine learning and AI, and like even like 10 years ago they were already starting to investigate how to use music generative systems, based off of trained models of and stuff like that. And then so I met a lot of really great folks over there who were doing really, really fascinating things that kind of opened my head up to all these new things and new concepts. Um, Many of which I'm actually using today in some of my stuff. Not all 100%, but it's an interesting world to kind of dive into. And because a lot of stuff is we're seeing like Sunio, 11 Labs, all these different like AI based sort of like generative music systems that kind of can generate. And now Sunio's at 5.0, and actually they just started following me on Instagram the other day. I was like, oh, that's scary. Oh,
I,
I've got
I'm
one of
I'm
the
really
biggest.
glad I'm really glad you brought this up. Because this
Mhm,
this is definitely somewhere we were planning to go.
mhm,
You've talked about AI couple in multiple of your interviews that I've heard. You talked about companies
mhm,
sending you stuff to test out. I feel
mhm.
like the attitude towards AI is so black and white right now, especially when it comes to
Yeah,
fans. You either
for
you either
sure.
vehemently hate it or and you pretend like there's no place for it, but clearly there is a place for it, and it's
Yeah.
obviously not going away. Both as a sound designer and maybe more importantly as a musician for this question, what is your perspective on AI and music? And I don't know, just kind of talk about that because I was really excited to get your perspective on this.
Yeah, I think it's I see understand your divide, because I have a lot of musician friends who are very divided on this topic. Who are solo musicians, they don't use technology a whole lot. They make more traditional music, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. You're allowed to make, it's a free world. um I like it because of the technology behind it, and I want to use it in all the wrong ways that it's not intended to be supposed to be used. So I'm trying to
Yeah,
come up with
yeah,
stuff.
expound on that.
Exactly. Yes. So I'm looking for systems where I'm able to train where the data sets are not blocked off. Where most of these companies, they've scraped the internet, whether they've done like what Sunio's done, and a lot of these AI, generative sort of music making systems. They kind of go quiet when you ask them, where did you get your where's all your data sets come from? Where did you get where these how are these trained? What music were they trained with? They trained with music? Was it legally done? Were the artists Did the artists even know that their music was being trained in these models that you
Okay,
guys are
so these
using?
are these are questions that you're asking these companies as you're playing with them.
Exactly. Yeah. But the thing that I think would be really cool, and this is I hit a brick wall with a lot of these companies, is like, well, why can't you let the user train the model with their own stuff. Then it would just be all their own stuff that they could regenerate. And then that would be the ultimate interesting thing. So you could feed it whatever you want. You're
Sure.
not just sitting there and have to, put in a text prompt, write a couple sentences. I want to track at 108 BPMs with a beautiful vocal, with the progression change in F minor, with as as many descriptors as you want to put into the text. These sort of like these language based models that you kind of have to. It's more about kind of how well you can describe what you're looking for is going to get a better result than being a musician, which is kind of weird.
Sure.
It's like how well is your wording and the order of your wording. And so a lot of um these language models are it's that's the other component to it. It's like it's basically the data sets and the language models and how they work together, and how well you're able to get the result that you're looking for based on how well those have been trained in analyzing the different attributes and things that the user is inputting. So Sunia is really great at making a lot of different stuff. Like it can make great R&B, pop, all the popular forms of music. I think it does an excellent job at, as far as like different vocalists. And now with Sony Studio, where you can integrate with a DAW now, which I think was a very smart move on their end. Now you can import your own stuff in. You can import your own vocals in. And say you're not a good drummer, for instance, or you can't afford to hire a bunch of studio musicians, and say, hey, this is my song. I'm a great singer, but I don't have access to all these other tools that can generate all this stuff for me. So, it's great for that. And even, at Apple, we're working on tools to do that too, where I want to call them more like assistive writing tools, where they assist you in helping you get to reach your goal. But you're still at the control of everything, but still it helps you in the areas where you may not be so great at that, you know, or it's proficient playing a specific instrument. And I think that's kind of a magical thing, that it allows you still to be creative, and it's still your idea. It's just helping you make your idea it completes it. It makes
Yeah,
you
I'm sure it
work.
saves some time too with that
It
process
saves some
too.
time
Brings your
because
idea to life quicker. Yeah.
absolutely. And the biggest problem that I ran into talking to my producer friends was like, yeah, I started this great track, but I just didn't finish it. And it's like I got like a couple minutes. I started, it's great, and I got hundreds of tracks on my hard drives. But I just could never finish them, or never had time to finish them. And that's a problem that a lot of my friends run into, that are professional musicians, and friends of mine who just do music as a hobby that they love, or they don't have as much time to put into music, but they would love for things to happen quicker, obviously, and be able
Sure.
to finish songs. But sometimes they just don't have the time to do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Everybody's in different situations. Everybody's got, they're at different places in their musical journey, and their musical understanding. There's like, I had 10 years of classical piano training, so I had some musical training and theory behind what I do. So I understood the structure of music and how to write music and read music, sight read music as well. But not everybody has the time or had the upbringing that I had. Everybody comes from a different place. So what I like about it is it opens kind of the doorways for a lot of people to make their dreams come true. To kind of make
Okay.
their song come to life, like you said, and actually make it happen, and
Absolutely.
actually make it sound good.
Yeah.
So in that aspect, I think that's great. I think it's an awesome thing. And I don't know if everybody sees it that way, because I don't know if everyone's played with Studio 5.0 Studio, but they're now letting you import your own stems of everything. Doesn't matter if it's a vocal, bass line, guitar riff, drums. You can import it in. It will analyze your data, your personal data set that you train, and it will make a model of that, of what you created, and it will create different variations, and you could just pick the best one that you liked, that works the best and feels the best for your track. Really, it comes down to the music make you feel? Is it good? Does it sound good? And I
Mhm.
think a lot of people kind of get away from that. They forget that the whole point of everything is, does it sound good? Does it move you? Does it emotionally grab you in a way? And it doesn't
Mhm.
mean that it has to make you feel sad or happy or on the normal emotions that the human usually experiences. It could be a music track that makes you feel something you've never felt before. You're like, I don't even
Mhm.
know how I feel about this. I'm this music, this composition is so completely out there and strange that I feel like I'm listening to music made by, you know, these crazy sentient beings from another planet. So it could be a cool thing, and that's kind of where I want to go with it. Is I want to take it and I want to train it with stuff that's so abstract and so out there, and then start training models where I'm mutating one model into another model that's based off of all stuff that I've created to see what can be created, what new things could happen. I want to see what spontaneous things come out the other end when I feed a bunch of gibberish stuff, and stuff that doesn't make sense, stuff that will make sense. And like, I'll try all kinds of combinations of things, different time signatures, different types of, different types of sounds, and experimenting with different types of harmonies and scales and stuff, and in microtonal based stuff that's not based in the 12 tone typical note. It's there's so much stuff that you could experiment there with if you could just train it yourself with your own data. Then there's a whole world of possibilities that's going to unlock for people. um, and I just haven't seen a whole lot of systems out there that are allowing users to do that, other than maybe data mine. My friend Ben runs a company, and they've got a plugin called Concatenator, and I don't know, or and there's another one called Combobulator, which basically I love their basic model is really cool. They collaborate with a lot of artists. They make a data set. You see their data sets loaded on the left side of the screen, and you can say, like, pick Mr. Bill, for instance, who's a friend of mine. He's a like a
Yeah,
bass
you almost
artist.
killed him on his podcast.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to. Yeah, I didn't mean to. I didn't know Bill he suffered from it's a blood phobia, or it's a phobia of like blood or
Yeah,
something. And
fuck yeah, he
had I
does.
known that, I wouldn't have went into my story at all. I didn't know he was gonna faint. That was totally caught me off guard. Like, I don't think that's ever happened to me on a podcast. I actually thought he was like playing a joke on me at first too. I was like, is this like a joke? And then I saw he was actually bleeding. He like hit his head on the table. And I was like, then he said he had to go lay down in his bed for a second. I was like, oh no, this is actually for real. He's being for real. And then I felt really bad. I was like, okay, I apologize. I had no idea that you suffered from this condition. I medically have been through a lot of crazy stuff in the last 23 years or 20 years. And yeah, but Bill's great. He's such a humble guy, really, really smart, great person. He doesn't live far from me. He lives here in Georgia too.
Oh, I didn't know
Um,
that.
yeah, yeah. He's lives not too far away. I have dinner with him occasionally, with him and Ben Jordan, who's another artist friend of mine who runs a really cool YouTube channel. And he also makes great music. I've known Ben for maybe over 25 years, when he used to live in Chicago. And if you haven't had a chance to check out his YouTube channel, he's got some great stuff. It deals a lot more with science and sound, um, and a lot of interesting topics that many other YouTubers aren't covering, which I think is great. I like the direction that Ben's taking. He's taking uh, just you just have to check it out. It's really fascinating things that Ben is getting into. I really, really like watching Ben's content, and specifically kind of the areas that he explores is not your typical sort of stuff. And I'm generally attracted to those types of podcasts anyway. Um, but yeah, it's getting wild. Like I said, it's a rat race right now. So all the companies are racing. It's like this exponential curve where all the money and all of the investments, everybody's investing into AI right now. Whether it's Google with Google Gemini, or even in my Tesla, I can run Grok, uh, you know, AI Grok X or whatever, AIX Grok now runs on my Tesla, so me and my kids will just ask it the most ridiculous questions all the time. And while the car is driving itself, like that's also AI. And my Tesla is part of probably the biggest machine learning network. I guess I don't know what you want to call it, experiment in the world. I guess Elon Musk, when he came out with if you think about it, how many people are driving Teslas on the road? Um, People who are in the beta program, I'm in the actual FSD beta program. So if you opt in, basically you can report what the car did wrong. It gets uploaded to their database. That problem where your car screwed up or did something at an intersection or a roundabout, made a mistake, you just hit the little camera icon and it will record the last 20 seconds, and then that gets uploaded to their database so that gets corrected in the next software build, so that all the other Teslas won't make the same mistake at that intersection or roundabout that your car did. So it's a great way, like the way that Elon Musk is getting his data from all his users is just brilliant. It's just like we're giving it away because everybody wants full self-driving. Everybody wants a car that can just drive them somewhere, and do nothing. It's incredible. And it's only getting better. Like version 14 just rolled out. I mean, it's going to get to the point where I can just play Nintendo in the back seat with my kids, and my car is just going to drive us to wherever we need to be. We just push the little blue, icon on our navigation screen, and we can already do that. And my car will park itself and come to me when I can do park summon. I can tell it to go park and find a parking space, and it'll go park itself. And then I grab my phone out and tell it to come to me, and I don't even know where it parked. I don't know what parking level it was on. It just comes down. Actually, I scared a family at IKEA because I was buying some stuff there. And this family saw my car driving with nobody in it, and they instantly called security. They had never seen a car where it's just like, there's a car in the garage, it's driving with nobody in it. Somebody should come take care of this. And I was like, maybe not everyone's seen Park Summon before. Maybe I shouldn't use that as much because it scared the heck out of this family. Yeah, they just see this car driving with nobody in it, and like it drove far. It drove down 3 levels to get to me. So there must have been a lot of people that saw it because it was a pretty busy day. It was like a Saturday at IKEA, so there was like hundreds of people in the parking lot and were looking at me like, what the heck is going on here? And my car pulls right up to the curb, and me and my family would just get right in, and we take off, and they're like, what the heck just happened there?
Especially
It
this
was
time of
totally.
year. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just so funny. Yeah, that for people who aren't familiar with them. But that's also AI. So AI can also improve our lives. It's not just music, it's like everything that we do. It's making things much safer. Like the car has now surpassed driving my skill level. It's surpassed me now at version 14 where it's currently at right now. I can't. I just don't have 8 eyes where I can look in every direction every time and see my blind spots, or if somebody's coming. It's got radar and all this crazy stuff built in um that I don't have as a human being. I can only focus on what's in front of me, whereas the car can see in every direction, is paying attention in every direction at any second, and will move you out of the way if something is going to happen. It will take over and move you out of getting out of an accident. It's got what's called driver avoidance collision systems. So if the radar detects that a car's coming too fast and knows that you're not going to be able to move in time, the car will take over and move you into the emergency lane, or move you into a place where you will not get hit.
Yep.
And that's happened to me twice. I almost got hit twice, and it saved my life and my kids' lives because they were in the car with me. So AI isn't just affecting the music world, it's affecting everything. It's going to affect banking, it's going to affect the medical world. I think it's going to have a lot of really amazing, amazing things when it comes to like cancer research and stuff like that. And like, I don't necessarily look at it as a bad thing. And there's like all these people saying, yeah, once it goes sentient, it's going to be, once it has its own mind and all this stuff, and, it's all over for us, and what it's going to take away all these jobs. And I just don't see that. I see it more as making our life, enhancing our lives, and allowing us to spend more quality time doing things that we enjoy, and kind of taking away all the mundane horrible things that we hate doing, and just let AI do that. We'll have
Yeah.
an AI script do all those things that we don't want to do. Like, there's so many things I can think of that that just are not appealing to do, that sometimes you have to do for work, or just you know but it's not, it's very, it can be, it really can enhance people's lives, and I'm curious to see where that goes, because I'm already experiencing the positive sides of AI and how safe it can be. But there's also dangers in that, right? Because there's bad guys out there that will use
Sure.
AI
There's bad
also to take
actors. Yeah.
advantage of people, right? So,
Yeah.
and it's already happening with like people using like deep fake voices to mimic family members and to conning them out of like, calling their grandmother, and they think their daughter's on the line. She needs $10,000, and the grandmother wires this money to some guy's account, and that's really some guy in India that's just running a scam. And but they're using this technology also for not so good purposes too. So I
Mhm.
think the cybersecurity issues are going to be a really, really, really big issue as this gets more and more advanced, because they're just going to find more advanced ways of kind of, you know, taking advantage of people who are not so tech savvy about this technology. So,
Right.
especially like my mom is a good example of that. Like, she's not very tech savvy. She tries to be, but she's
Oh, your
75 years
mom
old.
can't
And
get got. You're her son. You can't let that
oh, that's
happen.
true. I'm her tech support for sure. Yeah. She has a Tesla too. I made her get a Tesla because I was like, you know what? You need to get Tesla. They're a safe car and it'll help you out. She loves it now. And yeah, so I help her with that. And also
So
of
so
course.
on the
Mhm,
note of your mom, just
mhm,
because this is
mhm,
I loved this story. Not to shift gears. Thank you for that.
sure.
That was that you're one of those people whose voice I feel like really matters on this topic. So I wanted to give you a little bit of
Sure.
air just to kind of flesh
Sure,
out
no
your
problem.
thoughts on that. In another interview, I heard you talking about your mom, and specifically the fact that you took piano lessons. You touched on it a few minutes ago. Um, this is
Yeah.
probably going to be the only story, hopefully, that you have to tell twice that you've told before. But you told a story specifically about a piano teacher that asked you
Oh, yeah.
a question about kind of why you were playing piano. And I don't know, I think that spoke to me about I think it's hard to probably for you to pinpoint exactly how you got to this point in this type of music, but it's pretty
Mhm.
easy to find the launching point, and I feel like it's that story. So would you mind telling us that story real quick?
Sure. Yeah. It was actually my last piano teacher before I stopped taking piano lessons. I'd been taking classical piano lessons for close to like 8 or 9 years. All the
Okay.
previous teachers I had taken piano lessons with were very technical. They're more about how your fingers needed to be properly on the keys and sight reading. It was almost like reading a book and then like performing this book in performance, because it was all about playing in the recitals, and my mom would come to them and film them all the time back on VHS cams when we did have VHS cams. Um, and I wasn't really enjoying it, because I was just, my teacher would give me this assignment that was just a piece that she picked that she would choose for all her students. It didn't really have like, you know, it was just, to impress some parents. It was not about anything. It almost had like almost nothing to do with the the person, the
Mm-hmm.
person that was playing the music. And my last piano teacher was very different. He was from, I want to say Estonia, some Eastern Europe somewhere. And he sat down with me. He's like, "So why are you taking piano lessons?" And I was like, "Well, it's because my mom is making me." And he laughed and he was like, "You shouldn't be taking piano lessons because your mom is making you take piano lessons. You should be taking piano lessons because you want to take them, because it does something for you, and it's giving you something back. Music is something to be felt. It's an emotional way of communicating to other humans. It's got its own language. Even other musicians get on stage and have a dialogue together. They speak and they speak in this musical language. It's the most universal language in the world, you know? And he said that you should be doing this because you love to do this and you should find things that you love in this. And that really, I never really thought about it that way. You know, I kind of just blew it off and was like, oh, my mom just wants me to do this. I'd rather go BMX or go skateboarding. You know, I was, not in that headspace, but he kind of made me really think. He's like, so instead of me making you play stuff, I'm going to play you some things. And then you tell me what music out of that I'm playing. And I'm going to play various different styles of stuff. Tell me what stuff that kind of strikes a chord with you. And so he did that. And I remember he played Eric Satie for me. I'd never heard Eric Satie before that. And I was just like, who was this composer you just played me? And it's like, oh, it was a composer named Eric Satie. And I think it was Genofights. Like, I think it was the piece he played. And I was like, that piece was so different than all the other pieces. And why was that? And he's like, well, he was a very interesting individual, explained to me about a bit about his background. And I was like, there's something very beautiful and dark about that piece of music that just struck me, like I actually felt that piece of music. I was just like, you finally played something that really kind of grabbed me and I felt something from it. And he goes, that's exactly what I'm talking about, is what you just felt right there. And that's the reason why you should be taking piano lessons. It's not because your mom wants you to take piano lessons. It's because you feel something from it. You're getting something from it. It's a form of meditation. It's medicine to people. It's a way of expressing yourself, and expressing what you like and what you don't like. It's like, it was a very profound moment for me, to experience that. And then I realized, I was like, wow, there's really some cool stuff out there. I just need to do my homework. I need to find out what that is, and then I just became obsessed after that point. I started like getting in all kinds of music, classical, punk rock, hip hop, finding all kinds of stuff that I was loving at that time, as a young 8, 9-year-old. I mean, what can you kind of really get into? When I was skateboarding and stuff, I got into a lot of music that was built around skateboard culture, which was, pretty much like, thrash metal or hip hop. It was one of the two, but there was so many great bands like Minor Threat. I loved Minor Threat and Discord Records, a lot of stuff that was coming out of the DC area, a lot of the DIY punk bands. It's just raw energy. It was just like, never heard music like that before. And like, I was just like, wow, this is incredible. These guys recorded this album in their garage. Like this, like it's nuts, it's like, it was a crazy concept, and it was a lot of exploration and discovery for me. And it was it was just a real eye-opening moment for me musically, and kind of it was the major turning point where I was like, I should be seeking out things I like. I shouldn't be seeking out things because other people want me to be something or be this or that and that. It should be about what makes me happy and what brings me the emotional sort of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just kind of makes your hair stand up, when you're listening to something that's so good that you're like, oh my God, this track is so amazing that I'm just in bliss right now. I could listen to this forever.
That happened to me at the beginning of the podcast when with that intro. I texted Nate about it and I said, wow, there are those chill bumps for the first time. It does it every time.
Speaking of that, we want to get into listening to some of your moments with STS9. So we'll start there and kind of get into the story of how you guys cross paths and everything like that. But I figured 2004 Tabernacle would be a good place to start. So we'll start there.
Wow.
Young Jeffrey Lerner.
Wow. That's
That was crazy. I
yeah.
hadn't heard that in so long. I literally totally forgot what that sounded like. Like
So that's
I
improv Alien Funk with Richard Devine from
Alien
New
Funk.
Year's Eve. Yep,
It
in
reminds me
2004.
of like Herbie Hancock's like Sextant, not Sextant, Headhunters. If he were to do like Headhunters album like now or like in the future, like
Yeah.
100 years in the future, it's like what would like Herbie Hancock sound like? And it's just they're so talented, man. Those guys like Hunter on the guitar, like Zach on the drums, and Bips,
And
just like they just know how to roll with it, man. That
yeah,
just
certainly.
make
Well,
magic. Yeah.
let's talk about your history with them. I mean, you've achieved somewhat of a legendary status amongst STS9 fans. Pretty much everything you've done with them is regarded as museum quality STS9, a term coined by
Oh, I
my
didn't
buddy
know
Scotty here. How'd your
that.
relationship with them begin?
That's an interesting one. Their lighting tech um, was
Saxon.
yeah, Saxton worked with
Mhm.
this girl Rachel. Rachel is my sister-in-law. She used to do the lighting with Saxton, and one
Oh.
day she was playing my CD on like just playing the CD as they were setting up the lights. And Hunter was like, "Hey, how did you know about this CD? This is Richard Devine." And she's like, "Oh, my sister's dating him." And Hunter's like, "No way. Is there any way you could like set us up to meet him?" And so Rachel's like, "Yeah, I guess." And this is when they were playing at like the Georgia Theater in Athens. This is a
Sure.
Yep.
long time ago. Yeah, like back in the day, and I didn't know anything about them. I never heard of them before. So Rachel hits me up. She's like, "Hey, there's a really cool band that I follow them all around the country. They're really cool. I do lighting with them, and they'd like to meet you because they're fans of your music." And I was like, "Sure, they sound like cool people." So I went up. I can't remember what night to go see them play at the Georgia Theater in Athens, and I hung out with them backstage, and like I spoke to, yeah, I spoke to Hunter, and I spoke to Phipps when he was playing bass with them. Oh, not Phipps,
Murph.
Murph. Yep.
Murphy, when Murphy was playing bass with them. Um, and they were all like so in tune, like, you know what I mean? There's such a crew that was so in tune. Like when Hunter described like that, like he was talking about my albums and stuff. I was like, this guy really actually listens to my albums. He's like knows every one of the tracks. He's like, dude, there's a whole like universes in your sounds, dude. It's like it's crazy. The way he was
Just
describing it
hear
to me,
him
he's like, whoa,
saying that. Yeah.
You two
yeah. And
you
I was
two remind
just,
me of each other a lot, actually.
Yeah.
yeah, I
Um,
love Hunter. He's
yeah,
such
kind
a
of.
cool dude,
You're
man.
both kind of
Yeah.
naturally disarming people that really can get into the weeds of music talk. I'm not sure
Sure.
if you heard their episode that they did with us, but lots of really really kind of thoughtful, poetic almost thoughts from Hunter. And I don't know, as I was researching for you, you guys kind of reminded me a lot of each other.
Oh, I love Hunter, man. Yeah, I mean, they're all great. I love them all. Zach, everybody, I've known them forever. And like I said, they've got a really good synergy and communication. They know each other very well. It's like there's just no second guessing. It's just like they just know what to do. Everything is just so smooth every time. Every time I've played with them, I'm just in awe of their amazing musical com- capabilities of what they're able to do. It's just like a drop, just any second they could just change and it just be like we're in a different world.
Hmm.
Um, I
So
love
how do we
that.
get from that point to you this point? And because this was the first set of shows that you had sat in with them in 2004.
Yeah, that was kind of a thing where I played the Fillmore with him in San Francisco too. I did a lot of places. We did Denver, we did Chicago.
Yeah, we're gonna get in
We
Chicago next. Yep.
That one was crazy because me and Zach went nuts that night. I was just like, why don't we like? I told Zach, I was like, let's drive it up to 200 BPMs. Let's like make this like a Slayer show, like. And Zach was like, oh, let's do it. I was right next to Zach, so I had like the 606 drum machine, and I just dialed it up to like. And Zach I couldn't believe it, dude. His hands were bleeding. He had broken a drumstick that night. Like
Oh,
it was just like it was so insane. The energy that night was so crazy. It was insane. Like I don't know
Why
if
don't
I'd ever made them play that fast. I was just like, dude, let's do 200 BPMs. Like let's just go like full on metal crazy tonight. Like, and it was just nuts. It was just the
it,
energy, and yeah, it just happened.
Yeah, I'm
But
I'm a Chicagoan. I'm a Chicagoan myself. I think it's a really good opportunity to get into our second clip here and just let people hear this a little bit. So, Congress Theater, actually the first place I saw them play, actually in 2011. So this was
oh,
before
okay.
my time, but this was
Mhm.
a great moment that I wanted to share from that night.
Oh yeah, the 303 improv. Yeah. Oh yeah, we opened up with Velez improv too. That was me with them too. And it started getting faster and faster. I remember looking right at Zach at that moment.
So
And
fast.
here's Zach, because Zach is just working it, dude. He's just working it. Oh man, that's so good. much more musical than I remember. Not that they don't do anything musical; they always do everything beautiful, really beautiful melodies. Oh man, this is so sick.
Good God.
Man, incredible musicianship. They're just on another level. Yeah, that was my 606 kick that you're hearing. It's just still picking.
That's 200 BPMs right there.
Yeah, it was like somewhere around there. Like, but yeah, it's pretty fast. Like, I remember Zach was working it, man. He was just working it the whole time. Like, just I was like, let's do it. And I was like, you want to go faster? And he looked at us, let's just do it. And then I was like, dude, I was like, I don't know how you do it, man. You're amazing, you know? It's just
I
blows me away every time to play with him. It really does. Just the musicianship, the craft, like their craft, and how well they're able to just to adapt to anything at any second is just like, almost genius level musicianship, if you ask me, you know?
Well, it's so
Um,
fun getting this insight into that part, right? Because there are these things
mhm,
that happen when you guys are on stage together that are, without having the context that you're giving us right now, it's kind of hard to put it into words. But as you describe it before we listen to that clip and then I hear it, I wrote down on my notes so much trust. And I think it's,
yes.
I think it's so cool because obviously this is a group of musicians that really looked up to you before they ever met you, and clearly it didn't
Mhm.
take long for you to kind of reach that same position with them. And so there's this almost like taking turns of walking each other places in like this playful way, like you described, like, oh, let me take them somewhere and see how they react to it. And it's almost like a game of catch on stage that is really cool. How do you balance your own sonic voice collectively with five other musicians like that, though?
Man, that's a tough one. Usually, like, I'll bring some percussion component, some sort of drum machines, or I'll use some sort of alternate rhythms and stuff. And so I'll usually be the one, and this is what's really cool about working with them is like, oh, Rich, we want you to be the decide the tempo, like we want you to like start it, like, and then I'll send my clock to Phipps, and then Phipps sends the click track, like whatever, whatever click sync that we're gonna go, all we're gonna rhythmically work together, build structurally the rhythmic part of the song together. So they're telling me to start. It's like, yo, Rich, we want you to start. I'm like, what? I feel like put me in that position is like, you guys are geniuses. I feel like it should be your decision. But I love how open and trusting they are, and like they could just, I mean, they make the most beautiful stuff out of thin air. It's like I don't know
Hmm.
how they do it. It really is a special thing that I've not seen happen many times with many bands. And I listen to a lot of different music. And I think it's just so many of the 10,000 hours. It's like the 10,000 hour rule. Like they
Hmm.
Yeah.
have played so much together that they just don't even need to like think about it. It's like it's just built into their DNA. All of them know each other so well that they can just turn the whole thing and flip it on its end and like take you into a different world, like it's just crazy. Even just listening to that clip, it reminded me. I was like, man, I didn't realize I forgot how musical and beautiful the track was. It was
Hmm.
a beautiful track, even
Yeah.
though on stage the energy was like very different because it was loud. We had like giant PA, like, speakers, and like, Zach's drum kit was right next to me. He was just going playing as quick as he could, and then I had my drum machine that was going against his stuff. So it was a very different feeling in the moment when all that was happening. And we had, I think, Congress Theater holds like what 4,000 people. We sold it out that night, and it was packed. People were just going nuts, and it was just like one of those experiences where I was just like, wow, this is out of this world, like it's just an incredible, I was like incredibly humbling experience to play with such amazing people. First, like I said, all of them are such amazing people, and the level of musicianship that they have is just like on some other level,
Yeah.
it's
And
just
for the
not many
crowd to
people.
react to that kind of stuff too, like they're not familiar with that. And
Totally. And for
there's
them to get
trust there
into it,
too. Yeah.
absolutely, 100%. It all feeds together and has to work in harmony, which they do so well. They just make it all come together so well, no
Yeah.
matter what the situation is.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, talking about
that's
situations, right? We've gotten to the 1.0 stuff, which is great. We had to hit on that, right? But
Mhm.
for a little bit of the younger fans like me and Scotty, it's crazy to think that we're the younger fans, but um we're familiar really with you in person with your work with them at Wavespell Live in Belden Town, right?
Oh yeah.
Um with regards to the Wavespell sit-ins, what was your initial reaction like when they told you about that idea? Because when you'd sit in with them in the early 2000s, it'd usually just be for an improv track or two, right? It was usually just a couple
Yeah, it's
tracks.
very different.
What was the notion of doing a 90-minute improv set a little bit more intimidating, or how did that more come about?
For me, I think um it was intimidating because we had no plan. because before we had plans, right? But we would had tracks that we had done before. We'd rehearse them.
Yeah, you would name the tracks, right? You get
Sound check and stuff. Yeah, we
303
named the
Improv,
tracks and
Alien Funk. Yeah, yeah.
or Velez or whatever. It
Yeah.
was a lot of
Mhm.
yeah, we had a lot of so we would run through the track like just a couple of times just to make sure we all knew what we wanted to do at what part and kind of like let everybody have a little piece to breathe within the track and communicate and have it just flow well, making sure we felt good about it. Um, but with Wave Spell, I loved what Hunter told me that they were trying to get back to the roots. It's
Mm,
basically what Wave Spell meant to him when I asked him about what Wave Spell was, because I didn't know what it was. I had no idea. I was just there. I was just there along for the ride.
Mhm.
They said, yeah, the concept is basically we don't know what we're gonna do. We're gonna go out
mm,
there and we're just gonna start. And then we don't know where we're gonna end up. We're gonna just play for an hour and you're gonna jam with us and you can add as much as you want or as much as you don't want as you like. And you can start with an idea. We'll go off of you and then we'll just go from there. And I was just like, wow, this is a lot of trust right here. Like,
yeah.
and we went into some really wacky, crazy
Fuck
spaces
yeah,
and
you did.
stuff.
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
then the way spell sets, and I love that. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. It really, really kind of tested your skills to the max. You really had to really work in real time and kind of pay attention. There was like this a different level of awareness when we were all kind of like, we're just kind of in the pocket now. When now we're gonna figure out how we're gonna morph into something else, and then like maybe Phipps to start doing some like progression or like Zach would change the drums up a bit or slow down or speed up or like any number of things could happen.
Yeah. Well, your
It
tweener
was
sets
just
too, because that was a 3 set night where like me and Scotty
Mhm.
remember walking in and like you were playing. It was definitely one of the more down tempo Richard Devine sets
Oh
I
yeah.
had heard to
Yeah.
start, and it was like a tone setter. Like, okay, let's get everybody comfortable with this, and but with a certain sense of unfamiliarity because that was a lot of people that were there. It's first time seeing you. And definitely first time seeing you interact with the band, right? So
Yeah. It was
I mean, that helped a lot with like from the crowd side of things, like us buying into like where that evening was going to take us, right? In 2018,
yeah.
I'm talking about specifically. So, well,
Mhm.
let's go to one of those places because this track in particular has been selected by the band as a part of their like releases of like this is a mode of us and who we are. So we're gonna get into this clip and I did my best to trim it down because it's just a 20-minute masterpiece. But to me, these are the 8 minutes that really kind of embody that night.
Sure.
weaponry.
Yeah.
Come on, dude.
Hunter Brown's a fucking show off. Zach leading the troops.
Richard, the places the places you take this band.
That it almost doesn't even sound like the same band, to be honest with you. When you
I
play
don't-
that,
Yeah.
I was like, I had forgotten how far out we got that night. Like I remember we were already kind of like in a good headspace, but I've forgotten how far out we got that night. It was an interesting night. Yeah,
Man,
we were out.
y'all,
I love
so
it.
both years, I have
Mhm.
never been more tired in my life than I was coming in to these sets. Because it was like they
Yeah,
said at the end of an absolute fucking marathon of some
it
of
was.
the highest potency STS. Not like there's a reason they do this shit in the woods, dude. They can't just do it anywhere. And
Yeah.
and and by the
Yeah.
time we got to your set, to your wave spell set, both years, which by the way was not announced either year. So the first
Yeah.
year when your shit got left on stage, it was like, wait a minute, are they actually gonna do this? And I remember
Yeah.
during this moment, my like losing my legs and feeling like I was
Oh,
being
floating.
supported
Yeah.
just by this
Floating.
music.
Yeah.
Yes, I like, and it's people say that a lot, but
Mhm.
physically, I can't pinpoint more than 2 or 3 times where I have been in that state where I felt physically supported by what was going on stage. Um,
That's
yeah,
cool. That's
so,
cool, man. Yeah,
so
even me
cool.
hearing it back, it's like I was like, It doesn't even sound like a Sound Tribe." We like went off on some way different tip. We were like all in a different headspace and like driving it in this whole different like this like energy field. It was like it's just that's what's inspiring. You know what I mean? Like that's what I love about them. It's like the wave spell thing is so cool because it's like we're all like making decisions like just right on the fly and just kind of like making new stuff just happen out of thin air. You know what I mean? It's just happening, and you just never know where it's going to go. I think that's a really special thing, and I think that's such a cool concept. Like to be like hey, we don't know what the tempo is going to be, we don't know what the key is going to be, we don't know what anything's going to be. We're just going to go out there and just have a talk. We're going to have a
Yeah.
dialogue on
Oh, yeah.
stage, you know what I mean? And we're just going
Yeah.
to have this we're going to have this interesting conversation with each other, and we're just going to let the crowd feel our vibes, you know what I mean? Feel the
We
vibe
were
that we're going to
feeling.
take them on.
I felt like I met
Yeah.
God that night. These, I hope this isn't offensive, but these sets are affectionately known as the Dick Downs.
That's
So
great.
in Mother Nature was like talking. I don't know if you remember this or had heard this story. You could have been in your own world because you're on the other side of stage. But
Mhm.
like at one point, a praying mantis landed on Zach's drumstick, and like
Oh,
people in the crowd like noticed it, and like Zach like was like, "Why is everyone looking at my drumstick?" And then he noticed it, and like since he
that's
had
so
you with your
awesome.
machine be able to like keep the beat going, he was able to
Keep
get
the beat
off his
going, yeah.
kit, and then he like
Yeah,
handed the drumstick to somebody in like the front row, and
that's
they
so
held on to
awesome.
the praying mantis on the drumstick for the rest of the show. Like
No
that's
way, that's incredible. That's
yeah.
incredible.
So that was the kind of
That's
stuff
so
that was
awesome.
that was happening for sure.
Only that
But
could happen during a wave spell show. So I love praying mantises. They're like one of my favorite insects. And oh yeah, for that to happen, that's like what couldn't be more you know, perfect than that to happen. That's so fitting for the moment and for what we were doing. Like, it's like that's it. It attracted the alien. The insect
exactly.
aliens to us, they came to us, they heard their calling from far away, and they're like, "Oh, what's this? We gotta check this out. Let's go to that stage and see what's happening."
Well, there were people too that were that first year. Someone was hiking the Pacific Crest Trail,
Mhm, mhm,
and they had stopped for like the first night of music. They had stopped in Belton Town because it's like right off the Pacific Crest Trail to initially like just
mhm,
get some food, rest, and everything like that. And they went to the first night of
mhm.
music. They're like, "Oh, I'm not going anywhere until Monday." Like so, it was just
It's
this
beautiful there. Yeah,
gravitating energy for sure.
it's
But
such a beautiful place. On the river there, in the mountains, just like it's just yeah, I remember when I got there, I was just like, "Man, this place is absolutely gorgeous,"
didn't seem
So
real
beautiful.
for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's surreal. To me, it was, like, surreal. I'd never been there before, and, I was just blown away. I was like, what a great place to play," and they
Mhm.
had this
Mhm.
beautiful L Acoustics PA rig where I was like, "Oh my god, it sounds ridiculous." I mean, I love L Acoustics PA rigs. They're some of my favorite PA rigs to play on
Oh,
anywhere,
I
like
I remember my
yeah.
hair follicles being pushed back by the kick drum. Like that, like there were no rules, no sound ordinances, no time ordinances or anything like that. But
Nothing,
that was a
nothing.
very STS9 forward Richard Devine wave spell track.
That was that was
The
definitely.
The next one I want to play from the following year is, I think, very Richard Devine forward. So this will be
Okay.
the last track we
Okay.
listen to.
Uh-huh.
And
Sure.
I think you come through a little bit more on this one.
Oh wow, I think I remember some of those, yeah. Oh, I got a little weird.
Right.
Definitely got a little weird there.
Yeah,
I could
sounds
tell
like
right away just in the rhythm because I remember what I was doing at that time too. Yeah.
I love
right.
your reactions to your own shit. You're like, oh, I'm on some bullshit tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, no, because I forgot about all this. I haven't
Yeah.
heard all this in so long, so it's like I'm almost hearing it like again,
Again.
brand new
Yeah.
for the first time.
Oh, this is
Right.
awesome.
This one's short. It's
It's
only 5 minutes, so we'll hop into it here.
oh.
Man, it
Man,
sounded like someone
it's
forgot to turn off the
crazy.
nitrous tank for a little bit there.
Dude, for sure, man. That was awesome. I totally forgot how amazing that was, man. That's yeah, phenomenal. Like,
So
yeah, it just reminds me. It just yeah, they're just an amazing. They're just a really amazing band. Really, when it comes down to it, you know.
So a thought I had, and we haven't talked about her much, but we need to after that clip. Alana and
Oh, Alana's amazing. I knew
and
Brad and Alana before I knew them as Sub ID before Alana joined the band. I was actually
nice.
friends with them long before. I've been longtime friends with them. They're great
Yeah,
people.
they're
Love
friends of
love
the
Brad.
show.
Love
We've had Brad on the pod before.
Brad's great, man. Love
Yeah,
him. Yeah,
the
love those
best,
guys.
the
Yeah.
best, just great
Hmm.
people. Um,
Awesome.
as
Yeah.
as a musician though, and
Hmm.
specifically the reason I ask it after this clip is because I feel like we're at risk of kind of underappreciating how much Alana provides to that.
Oh, Alana's ridiculous.
Yeah.
She played with Bella Fleck and like she was already like beyond level insane bass player. But before I knew that she was going to be playing with him, when I first met Brad and her and I heard her play bass, I was just like, oh, okay, I get it. You're
Yeah.
like on some other, you're just another beyond like, highly intelligent on another level musician. And I was just like, when I heard that she was going to be taking over Murphy's place, I was like, oh my God, they're going to be like a super powerhouse now that they
It's
got
like a
Alana because
steroid shot,
Alana's that
right?
amazing. She's amazing. She's ridiculously amazing. Yeah. An unbelievable musician. Like that is a star class musician. Like Alana's like that
What
good.
what does having her in the mix do for you and what you are able to do in terms of freedom and just her understanding of kind of where you're going? Just talk about playing on
I
stage
think
with a musician like that.
I think Alana's got a really good take on because the sub ID stuff is very electronic and she's really well adapted to working in that kind of like style of music. So she comes up really good bass lines and all at the right time. She always comes in at the perfect time, like drops in at the right time when like when everything's happened. I'm like, oh, that's just right, exactly where I would have dropped the bass in. She
Hmm.
just knew. Like it's just like like it's like mind reading. I don't know. She just knows. She knows what to do. It's just like everybody else. It's like you don't have to worry about it because they're all so freaking good. I could walk up there with a couple of trash can lids and start banging on them, and they're gonna turn it into the most beautiful track you've ever heard in your life. That's just how good they are. I mean, they are. I mean, and Alana is just as on level and as on point as they are. She's just an absolutely incredible musician that I knew before um, she had gotten together with the band. I knew the level of how lethal she is. She is a lethal weapon when it comes to playing bass. She's amazing. Yeah, absolutely like brilliant musician, like top of the class. Can't say
She's a
enough good
killer.
things about him because yeah, 'cause I
She's
love
sh-
Brad and Alana. Yeah, they're
she's a
such good
queen
people.
for
She really
sure.
is. Yeah. And I'm so stoked
Um,
that they're working together now. Yeah, it's a really
yep.
great thing.
So this question, the vice versa is important here, right? What have you
Mhm.
learned from STS9 as collaborators that you then might have brought back into your solo work, or vice versa? Because like after these sets, you
Mhm.
notice more of like a modular synth heavy with like almost remnants of like your patches of like the rest of this weekend even like you're hearing like these clicks and noises and like
Mhm.
ambient sounds like do you feel like after like a performance like that you're both like drawing from each other and almost like coming down from it and like incorporating
Sometimes, yeah.
yeah so speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a bit of everything. Usually when I jam with them, I try to figure out how my stuff will fit into their flow of things. I don't want to like um mess up the balance. I want to make sure that everything feels balanced together. That we're all in the flow together, like things are working and there's like ebbs and flows to things and there's like movement, there's a journey to it. We're telling a story, to these people, we're like trying to yeah, I don't know how to describe it. It's like it's almost like hard to even like describe what happens when you're on stage, when you're with them, playing with them. It's like it's magic. It really is pure magic, you know. And the way that I've done it is always, I just try to do what I do. It's like the kind of magic stuff that I do, and I just figure out how to make my magic work into their magic. And it's like we mix our magics together, and it just becomes
Hmm.
this like soupy, beautiful ocean of just
Soupy.
new like creations and like spontaneous ideas that are just
It's a
like
cosmic
wouldn't
gumbo,
happen any
really,
other way.
you know? Yeah.
Really, it is, man. You hit it right on the nail right there. I mean, it's like it's a beautiful thing, really it is. Every time I'm so humbled, like, and when I play with them, I'm just like, man, this is it's unreal. This doesn't happen every day. You know, you don't get to play with musicians that are on this level, that are this good, that are this incredible, that really get it, that are on the same wavelength, that are very open-minded, very trusting, and just good-hearted people that are just trying to put out like really good vibey feeling music when it comes down to it. You know what I mean? That's what it comes
Hmm.
down to. Every time I go to the shows, I'm like, man, it's just the atmosphere, like the people. It's all about just unity and just like you get this feeling of like it's just a feel good, like a feel good that you don't typically feel at most shows. You know, it's like it's a different kind of a feel good. You're just like you're in the like a safe, happy, I can just let it all go and let all my life's worries just disappear and I just get lost in the music, you know? And I can't say that for a lot of for a lot of bands that can do that, that have that capability, but they have that capability to kind of take you into distant worlds, you know, and you just float away and it's just it's absolutely amazing, you know? Um and yeah, that's yeah, like I said, it's just been an honor that I've had these chances to work with them and play with them and get to get to play these shows with them. It's been a true honor to really to do these things with them. And yeah, because I have such high hold them in high regards, such high respect, and they're such great people too. On top of that, you know, and
Absolutely.
they're such great, yeah, great people, you know, like, you know, there's a lot of people in the music business that aren't great people. They're really, they have a lot of ego. You got a lot of big egos out there, and I've met a lot of them, and, you know, and there's none of that with them. They're just all really grounded, super, super down to earth people, which is just amazing too, you know, to meet
Yes.
people that are that good at what they do also be that grounded and like centered and really really
Hmm.
really in tune with themselves, not with themselves but also with each other when they're on
Yeah.
stage. Like
I mean,
it's like you can tell, you feel it, you know, you feel it, you can feel it.
they uh
um
they have been so generous to us on this journey, and it's, they say never meet your heroes, and I couldn't disagree with that more when it comes to that group of individuals too. They truly are as great of people as they are musicians. um
Absolutely.
I do want to shift to something really nerdy real quick, because
Sure.
we're coming up on 2 hours, and I want to give you a little bit of time to dig into this. Something that I think probably goes over most people's heads, it goes way the fuck over my head,
Hmm.
is kind of how you play with field recordings. Obviously,
Hmm.
they play a huge part in the work that you do. Something I came across that I couldn't even wrap my mind around, in your Mr. Bill
Hmm.
interview, actually, you were talking about granular synthesis, and you mentioned a clip one time that you and your wife collected of a burning log that you dropped into water, and you said something about like
Hmm.
a 10-second recording turning into damn near 30 minutes of extended sounds, but
Oh,
you
I
never,
think I know what you're talking about.
yeah, but you never
Yeah.
really played the sound. And I don't know.
Hmm.
I just want to kind of dive into that part because I feel like it's one of those
Sure.
really specific things that you're an expert in.
Yeah, I think when I was talking to Bill in that podcast, what I was referring to was a professor who teaches at UC Santa Barbara. His name is Curtis Rhodes.
Oh, okay.
He's considered the grandfather of granular synthesis. And I had the honor of playing with Curtis and hanging out with him. He just reached out to me, cold emailed me one day. I bought all his books. I had Microsound, Computer Music Tutorial. These are all really, really famous books. Um, he is a pioneer in microsound, what I call microsound, which is basically, anything that deals with granular processing, granular synthesis. He made some of the first granular processing apps way back in the late 80s, early 90s, when OS 9 was coming out. He had an app called Pulsar Generator that I used a lot on my old first MacBook Pro, or G4 MacBook, or Wall Street G3, I think it was. Um, the concept of granular synthesis was introduced. My introduction was through Curtis's work, and he's also another amazing genius that's on another level, like, and thinks about music and time very differently than most people do. And when I was talking to Mr. Bill about that, and the way even he makes music is very unusual. Like, I was in his studio, and he took it was just 3 seconds of sound of these trees or leaves that he was crushing, and branches, and dry,
Oh,
just
okay, okay, okay. I'm blending two stories that
so.
you told close to each other. Got it.
Right. So he took that and he put this into a super collider patch that he designed with one of his students, that took, I believe it was 32 grains. And each grain had its own reverb, density, grain. It had all these different controls. So each grain of sound could have its own world and be particly sprayed or controlled in any different way. So he took that 3 seconds of sound and made that entire 3 second sound this most beautiful, complex piece of music I'd ever heard. It was into a 10-minute piece of music where I was completely engulfed and couldn't believe, and didn't even understand what was going on, or how it was happening, or how he was doing all of this magic. And it made me really think about it. I was like, wow, like, that's this whole concept of, like, taking something, the most microscopic piece of, like, audio, and making it into a huge world of something else that's completely, that can make you, it just makes the concept of time, it completely changes your
Yeah,
concept of time and how you perceive things, and how you, like, I don't know anyone that makes music like that. That's such an interesting concept when you think about it. But Curtis has always been a pioneer in that area. I've always had a huge respect for him and all the works that he's done. I've actually, played shows with him, and always been, it's been an honor. And the whole reason why he contacted me in the email was that he wanted to include a chapter in his book, Electronic Perspectives, I think is what the name of the book is. You can get it on Amazon. And he really liked my approach of taking a sequencer and using it to play another sequencer. It's a trick that I do a lot here with modulars, is where it's kind of like a cause and effect sort of situation, where you have one sequencer and you program it a certain way. That entails affects the way the other sequencer plays. And then if you have multiple sequencers all playing off each other, then you get this sort of very strange, uh I don't know how to describe it, but it's not your typical way of writing music. It's a different approach, but I always love radical, strange approaches to making compositions that aren't your typical way of doing things. So um that struck a chord with Curtis, and he was like, I'd really like to make a chapter about that. I really like some of the diagrams and maybe some of the modules that you used to start this idea of how you use one master sequencer, then that becomes the main clock that syncs to all the other sequencers. But the parameters that are being outputted from that sequencer is controlling the parameters of the other sequencer. And then that sequencer controlling parameters of the next sequencer that's in this train process that's just happening. And it creates this very, very interesting sound that's very, very different than what you might think. And it just depends on where you send all those outputs to. It can be anywhere in your system. So it creates this very different feel and emotion, and, like, um, and it was just me experimenting. Like I'm always experimenting with something crazy here or trying some new wild thing that someone's never
Yeah,
heard
like
of or seen of
putting a
before.
microphone on an anthill or something like that, or throwing rocks down a PVC pipe, or hopping in a hot
Yeah.
tub with the microphone and stuff. So.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah, I was trying to do an Amazonic recording of me in the hot tub. That one got a lot of people on. That was a pretty fun one. I've done some pretty crazy stuff. Yeah, I'm definitely not afraid to do anything. I'm pretty much up for anything if it's going to get some interesting, unusual sound, no matter where the place is at or location or.
Well, I mean, it even plays into
Mhm,
something that STS9 says a lot, and I know they're not the first people to say this, but it's definitely kind of a theme of their career and their message is time is art. And
mhm,
what a cool way to communicate that by literally, I mean,
mhm,
taking I mean the way you say, I mean, granular sound, obviously that's the root word there, but when you talk about grains of sound and the way that you can just almost defy time in that way. It feels like it ultimately brings itself back to the topic that we talk about every week, which is kind of
mhm,
STS9. So
mhm.
yeah.
Well, Richard, thank you for joining us. This has been
It
awesome.
was a pleasure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I hope you had fun
it
going
was
back to some
awesome.
of those moments.
Oh, it's great, man. It was awesome.
What's
Thank you so much for having me.
what's the best place for people to find your art and your music, and what's next for you?
Um, I've got an album coming out on Planet Me Records. They're label out of UK, and got some other stuff that's planned too. Um, so it's yeah, it's gonna be a long album. I think 3 records,
Okay.
maybe 4 records, maybe 2 hours of music. It's a lot of stuff. And it's pretty wild stuff. I don't know how people are going to take to it, but that's the next thing that's going to happen. And then probably going to go on tour, and then I've got an EP that I'm going to release on Leisure Systems, which is run by friends of mine in Berlin, Germany. And that's pretty much it. Yeah, I'm just pushing the boundaries with new technology, new music, and seeing how far I can go with it.
Mm.
Fuck yeah, well, we'll be around for all of it, and we're here for it, and we can't wait for the next time that you're going to get on stage with STS9. I'm sure it's going to happen at some point here. But thank
Yeah.
you for joining us again, Richard. Thank you guys for watching and listening, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Throw us a like, throw us a subscribe, throw us a comment or review if you're feeling nice. But we'll be
Mhm.
back next week, normal time, Thursday drop for the first foray into year two of Pop Podular. But till then, have a great weekend, all.
You guys too. Thanks.
Man,